Hey, what's going on, man?
Yo,
Hey, so sorry I'm late here.
no worries. Launch day, huh?
Just launch day, baby.
Love to see it.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Sorry. I'm just you know, baby Charles. Thank God there's an app for that. But yeah, I just had to put the kid down. So yeah, sorry for being late here.
No worries. How's the launch going? Got a million downloads yet?
Not a million, but we got a couple. Um, so far so good. So I only DM'd it to people yesterday, and since then, just pulling up the stats, I DM'd it to like I think 35 people, maybe something like that.
Uh-huh.
And we got 27 new users so far. So not just downloads, but actual user data, which is cool. Um, but the interesting part is, believe it or not, I can't track this through Apple. Apple is 2 days behind. So I'm finding out going through all of this now that a lot of people don't actually rely on their data for Apple, even revenue, even downloads. You rely on your third party tracking softwares or your paywall service, which is how I'm
Uh-huh.
doing this. So I can see our user activity, total conversions, paywall rate conversion, proceeds, so total revenue. And I can see all of this before I see it on Apple, which
What platform are you using to see that information?
I'm using Superwall.
Superwalls?
Yeah, Superwall. Yeah. So there's a few apps that if you're in the mobile app space that are like must-haves, absolutely necessary. It's like using Shopify if you're going to run an ecom brand. And these are Superwall for your paywalls, One Signal for your push notifications, and Supabase, which is your backend for mobile apps.
Interesting. Yeah, I came across Supabase in some of my work this week as well when I was testing out some new applications, and they had a native integration with Supabase, which led
Oh,
me
nice.
to do more research on that and see how um, it might be useful, because they also have the ability to do vector storage for AI agents, which is interesting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, very, very cool platform.
Yeah, there's so many tools that I've learned by building this that you really can't build a mobile app without all of these other tools that are created. And some of these softwares are so good that if you were to try to do this yourself, if you wanted to set up a bunch of third-party APIs and try to build this in Google Analytics, it would take so much longer to try to set it up than if you just used a platform that was designed for it. And I also learned that I'm surprised at actually how little applications Apple has. It kind of makes sense because it's the Apple way. When you download an iPhone, you basically don't use any of the native apps other than messaging or calculator or maybe the weather app. But other than that, you just download everything else that you're going to use. And I
Uh,
was surprised, but I guess it makes sense. It's the same way in app development where there is no drag and drop builder for Swift, which would make a lot of sense. And they tried to release it and then they retracted it because they just said, too complicated, can't turn it into a drag and drop, right? Things change too quick. Or something like, revenue tracking, user signups. It just seems so obvious to me to have that built in, but there are third party platforms that are way better at it that you just integrate with. So there's all these little things that I'm kind of learning along the way that you really can't just rely on Apple to build anything.
I think it's a good general piece of advice, or like I think it's a general thing that don't try to do everything or become the master of none, and focus on your core competency, which is maybe the app store, or like the fundamentals of how that process is facilitated, which is downloading of the apps, which is through the app store and all of those things. I'm coming across that right now with our application and trying to figure out how we don't try to make a solution for everyone. Like, we need to make a solution specifically for agencies who know how to use and sell this stuff. And it's this week we had a lot of conversations about how maybe certain features are not targeted towards that agency. They're targeted towards the person who's brand new, who is in their hustle era and is trying to make money with AI. And they have no idea how to get customers, talk to customers, any of these things. And it's like, do we really want to focus on that cohort of customers or not? And how do we build things that focus on that or not?
Yeah, and for you, that goes double because you have so many moving pieces in the app. And there's the end user side, the agency side, there's building chatbots and sub accounts and different pricing tiers. Like anytime you think about a new marketing angle or even a new feature, it spreads out over so many other avenues that it's going to
Exactly.
affect.
My next venture is going to be way simpler for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've been geeking out on iPhone apps, obviously. And there's a video series sponsored by Superwall, which is our paywall provider. And it's a 4-part video series on how do you create a viral app in 2025. And the creator of the series is, you guessed it, the founder of Cal.ai and 2 other super popular apps. So he released 3 apps, and I think across all of them, they did like 4 million, 10 million, and 4 million or something. Like, anyway, it was the revenue between all 3 is over $16 million. And so it's really interesting. And this guy's 22 years old. It's unbelievable. So he found the hack of making iPhone apps. And his first tip that I thought was so interesting and so obvious when you see it is only have one feature or one button or one thing that someone does on the device. So Cal.ai has one button. You take a picture of your food and then it analyzes it. The other one was, I forget the name of it, but it's like UMax. It's makes you look better. I can't really, what's the word?
A filter?
No. It's looks maxing, which is, I don't know if you've ever gone the side of TikTok, but it's like the way you pull your face. It's like mooing to get like a better job. It's like all these things to help you look more attractive, basically.
Okay.
We made this app where you take a picture of your face and it rates how attractive you are. And then it shows you exercises you can do to get a better jawline, to get better eyebrows, to get like deeper set eyes, all these little things. It's like face muscle workouts. The female version of it would be something like face yoga, which is becoming super popular. But same
Face
thing, one
yoga.
function. Face yoga. Yeah. And I
That's a
actually
good,
worked with back in the agency days. I worked with a woman that sold a face yoga program and she did like $80,000 a month on this program with face yoga. Unbelievable. But same thing. One thing that you do, take a picture, scan your face. And then the other one was plug GPT. You screenshot a conversation you're having with a girl on a dating app and upload it, and it tells you how to respond. So same thing, that one, 2 buttons, either upload a picture or draft a pickup line. That's it. So in all of these examples, there is one feature, one starting point for the user, and everything else happens in the back end. And then he goes into this theory of cognitive load. Like the less cognitive load that a user has to go through to be able to use the app, the better. And that's where I think I really fell short, because there's a lot of things that you can do when you open up the app. But more importantly, we didn't clearly demonstrate adding memory items affects the responses that you get in the chat. So now we're trying to fix that on the marketing side. Like, this is how to use the app, which I think is probably one of the worst things you can do. Like, you shouldn't have to educate someone on how to use it or how it works. They should just be able to download it and use it. No one goes through a demo of a mobile app. They just intuitively know how it works. So anyway, there's a whole bunch of stuff now that I'm learning where we're already working on version 2, which is exciting, but obviously costs a little bit more money. But yeah, anyway, full circle, doing the loop. I think the same thing a little bit for you. You have so many features that often difficult for the user to know what the starting point is.
Yeah, definitely. The other thing I'll mention before I go into my stuff, I've been seeing a lot of tweets of people being, and it's referencing Cal AI, a lot of these other apps, like, oh, it turns out it was more profitable to make a GPT wrapper than it was to criticize people making GPT wrappers, because GPT wrappers actually provide the functionality that everyone's looking for.
Yeah.
And to your point, we are doing way too many things, and trying to figure out how to consolidate that into something that people can intuitively use has been a challenge. And I think
What's the fine line for you? Because, go ahead.
part of it is, I think, because we built this before like AI was even, I mean, I wouldn't even say it's mainstream now, but it was less mainstream then than it is now. So the whole process that I originally thought of was like, let's give people that experience of their AI aha moment where they can create that custom AI agent. I think that's, at least for the demographic that I'm targeting, they've experienced that already. Because one of the other things I've read, one of the partners at A16Z venture firm, they have a huge portfolio of AI companies that they've invested in. And they did an analysis on the companies, and they were like, the number one reason why all of these AI SaaS companies have abnormally large churn is because the consumers of these programs and these applications are trying 50 different applications a day. There's oversaturation in the market, and it's being underutilized because no one really knows kind of what or how to implement this stuff yet. And I hear that all the time with business owners being like, I don't know how to do this. I don't care to know how to do this, but I want it. And for people like myself, even, I go and I try every new AI tool that I could possibly find on Twitter. You know, stuff gets thrown into my feed. Like, oh, let me try that. And I'll sign up, maybe pay for it for one cycle, and then cancel just because I want to see kind of what it can do. I'm not sure where I was going to end up there, but it's an interesting piece of data to know that we're not like alone, so to speak, with our high churn.
Yeah. And in fast-paced industries, especially AI, I think there's going to be a lot of structural churn. There's a lot of people just trying everything and then finding out what they want to do. But I think there's also a lot of people trying everything, getting overwhelmed, and then not doing anything. And then they might come back to it later. And this is where the longer you're in the game and the clearer your marketing can be, the higher likelihood that you're going to win the customer over a long period of time. And obviously that's the game that you're applying now. Like, you might have some churn, but you're still going to have their data. Like, there's also retargeting opportunities from there.
Yeah.
Same as Shopify. Their structural churn is like, I can't remember if it's 10 or 30%, but it's really high.
Yeah, it's really high. And I think that's kind of where I want to position Stammer as being like the Shopify of AI agents. And maybe that's a good tagline, honestly. Like, that could be a good way to remarket it as
that's a really good idea. If you started drop shipping, you'd use Shopify. If you start an AI agent company, you'd use Stammer.
Yeah.
Let us prove it to you for free for 30 days.
Oh, that's good. I might have to do that.
Yeah, you might have to swing up an ad for that.
That's interesting. The other kind of like annoying thing is we're still getting so many organic signups every week without us doing marketing. Annoying. Well, it's like, it's good and annoying because it's hard to track. Even with our updated attribution, it's still hard to track where everyone's coming from. And our Facebook ads are converting really well. Facebook put a high performing toggle on the ad set, which is really cool. I've only seen that like twice. But only one person out of the 64 people that we had opted in last week started a credit card trial. So there's not even data for me to know on the quality of leads coming from Facebook with this specific ad is high quality or not, because no one's even converting in the first place.
Yeah.
Whereas Google ads with high intent in search, those are converting at 30+%. So to me, that's I need to dump more money into Google and focus more on that, because that's where we're getting higher intent, and they're actually converting. They're not just signing up and then leaving.
You're going through the same thought process that every successful business owner goes through. And I can tell you this from someone who has ran paid advertising campaigns personally for big brands for over 6 years. Dumping more money into Google is probably not the answer, because your Google is capped based on search volume, but your organic is not. Now, your Facebook attribution, especially if you're on a low budget, it's probably going to be overinflated, because a lot of your sales are coming in organically, and knowing you, it's coming from social media. It's from other people making videos about Stammer, or from you yourself making videos about Stammer, or featuring it in your other videos. So your meta attribution is probably going to suck. It's not going to get better. You're not really going to know how well it's converting until you start to raise the budget. And then Google is going to be capped. So if you increase the budget on Google, you probably want to increase the budget on Meta by the same degree. But ultimately, your tracking is never really going to be excellent. The only thing that you can do is just keep doing more volume of whatever you think is bringing users in.
Yeah.
I.e. more videos, more posts, just blast it out as much as you possibly can. Honestly, that's probably the single biggest needle mover for you to get new customers.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough too, because so the software as a science book that it's like my new holy Bible. One of the things that they basically say is like, if you don't know where your customers are coming from, or you don't have that necessarily figured out in the first place, it's better to not continue to dump money into ads, but it's better to fix or focus on the onboarding process to see if you can get more users further along in the process. And the rationale behind that is because if you keep pushing money down ads to a bad back-end funnel, you're going to eventually run through your audience, who is potentially going to be those easy customers if there was a better onboarding experience.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
So I'm right now, I'm in the mindset of, okay, everything is going well with our signups. Like we got 200 and something new accounts last week, and basically 200 of them were organic. The other 30 were from ads. Of those 238 or whatever, only 13 started trials.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, well, that's pretty bad conversion rate if they've created an account but they haven't continued using the platform. So there's there's something in between when they sign up to when they become, they take more steps to become a paid user. And that piece in the middle right there is like where we are failing completely, because we're doing a dashboard dump. We're just, oh, there you go, and figure it out. Like, good luck.
Yeah.
For someone like yourself with an iOS app, I could see why the tours and things don't work, because it should be that simple. With ours, I think I'm going to have to do some sort of onboarding product tour that, click here to learn what this piece is, and then click this, and then have maybe some sort of checklist that says, here's how to sell your first AI agent in step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you go through that process, and then maybe at step 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 is when we lightly force a credit card trial, or you need to like keep going here. You can't just like keep using it for free.
Yeah. Our softwares are definitely completely different. Like mine's a utility app for consumers that's really low cost. Yours, people are using because it's either going to directly make their business money or they're going to be able to resell it and make other businesses money. So like and I think that's inherently why you're going to have structural churn, because your platform is reliant on your customers making money. It's the exact same thing as Shopify. But yeah, you're definitely going to need a product tour for sure. And I know Shopify has one too.
Yeah. Right now, the number one reason for churn is failed payments because there's insufficient funds. So there might be a light economy issue as well, like where people's credit cards are legitimately maxed out.
Yeah.
And our system will retry 4 times over 10 days. So in theory, like if your credit card gets maxed out for your business, like you're paying that off instantly because that's your business card. But if over a 10-day period, it's still failing, to me, that says like not good things for these like, entrepreneurs who are stretching.
I wonder if you could adjust it to retry 3 times over 10 days and then retry the 4th time like 32 days later. Because that's likely when they will have paid off their balance or paid the minimum
That's a good
balance.
point. That's a good point.
You try adjusting that. But that doesn't really help use on the platform. That helps you maybe recover $50 here and there, but it's not. Yeah, it's not changing the fact that if their credit card's denied, they're not using the platform.
Yeah. So the 3 top reasons, failed payments. The second one is people say that they are unable to sell. And the third is it's too expensive. And I think those 2 are kind of can be solved with one update, which I'm hopefully going to have released out this next week, which is a $49 tier plan. Like we're updating our starter plan for $49 a month to have all the white label functionality, but only one AI agent.
So you could only close one client, basically.
You can only close one client, but if you want to get another client, you can purchase an additional AI agent for $10 a month, and then now you have an additional one. Because we're also going to
sabotage any of your existing user base.
It may sabotage. The people that are on the existing agency plan for $200 a month who have sold 0 might get them to go down to 50. But those are the people that would have canceled anyways, and we would have lost all revenue.
Yeah.
So my thought is that's fine, because the way that I've structured like the add-ons and the upsells for that specific plan, if you purchase maybe 2 extra AI agents and then you want things like live chat or master chat, like some extra functionality that isn't necessarily included, well, boom, right there, you're at like $150, $160 a month with 2 AI agents. And you're now comparing that to the $197 a month plan that has all the functionality, all the things included, and 20 AI agents. And I'm hoping that the popcorn model kind of comes into play where, it's just an extra $50 a month. Like, I'll upgrade.
Yeah. If you make that change, does it affect all other users on the platform? Is it instant or is it only new users?
For that change, it would only be for new users. But we are going to be adjusting our full SaaS mode plan from unlimited AI agents to 100.
Nice.
Because we have some very high use clients that are in like the 500-600 range of AI agents, and we're not making any more money on those accounts because we offered them unlimited.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily think we would get like the clients that we're getting at this high level. I would have expected them to basically just build their own solution, but they've came to us and been like, we don't want to build our own solution. We just want to use you. So in one way, that's really cool validation, because like these guys have thousands of existing clients and they're onboarding them to our platform. But I need to make sure that I can make more money as they grow.
I think you'll probably see a lot of that. A lot of agencies that will end up using you, even if it's theoretically cheaper to build it in-house. Sometimes you don't know what you don't know, but also the people complexity in an agency is so high that anytime you want to do something new, you're basically taking someone away from tasks that they're working on, or you're hiring someone specifically to do it to solve the problem for you, but there's no oversight. So
Yeah,
it might just be easier to pay you couple $1,000 a month. They never have to worry about it because they know that you are the outside contractor that's providing the service.
exactly. And if these guys are selling 500 accounts at $100 each, I mean, they could easily pay $1,000 in exchange for $50,000 a month in revenue.
Easily. Yeah.
Easily. Like it would be a
A lot more,
no-brainer.
actually.
A lot more. Yeah. So my plan
You should
for
look at
right,
the pricing of, sorry, go ahead.
I say the plan for right now is just like consolidate the plans. And then at the end of this year, after we add master chat and voice, do a full price increase for everybody, all existing, everybody across the board.
Yeah. Yeah. Master chat would be cool because then you'll get people that are in it to save time, not necessarily to resell it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm thinking any e-com brand that has questions about the internal functions of the business, any insurance broker, any real estate, like you're not necessarily going to sell the thing, but it would be a great internal reference tool.
Mm-hmm.
Voice is where I would be super excited. What I was going to say is, the companies that do a great job on pricing psychology is agency reporting softwares. So things like agency analytics, Dash this, um, going way back. I'm sure you probably know a couple of them too, but they do a great job with value-based pricing because they know that anytime you connect a new data source, you are probably charging that client. So you can afford to pay $50 to $100 per data source or per report that you send out. And they have all these other features that are added on. They're all based on their projected value that you are billing the customer. I think they've mastered the popcorn model pretty well.
Interesting. I'll have to look more into their pricing. That's interesting.
Yeah, it might be worth a look.
Yeah, but voice, I think, is going to be one of those things that we make a good margin on for usage.
Okay.
We're already seeing a pretty significant uptick in revenue collected from recharging people's like accounts for their wallet balances. And last month we almost broke net negative revenue churn, where our the money that we collected on top of people's subscriptions was just about equal, slightly less than the amount of money that churned in subscription revenue. And
Can you say that again? We talked about net negative revenue churn. I just want to.
Yeah. So existing clients who are paying more money in usage on top of their subscription, that total amount of money is equal to or greater than the amount of money that's churned.
Got it. That's amazing.
And
So you're not talking about acquiring clients. You're saying the increase in revenue from existing clients is almost the same or surpassing churn.
yes,
And if that happens, then you have the golden goose because you're going to make more revenue per customer on average than you will on every churned customer, assuming your churn percentage doesn't decrease.
Exactly. And so we could have this like holy grail moment where we're like, oh yeah, we lost 10 customers. That sucks. And I don't want that to happen, but it's okay because our existing customer base started using it more, purchasing more, and it offset that churned revenue completely.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
One sec, letting the dog out.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're just under that last month, but it's been growing every single month. And to me, that tells me that the existing agencies who are actually using this are getting that value and they're continuing to resell, they're continuing to recharge their wallets, put in more money, and growing with us. So I think we can continue that exponentially with voice as well, and things like
Yeah.
Master Chat.
Yeah. 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 That's amazing. Like imagine you're able to hit that the increase in revenue surpasses what the churn revenue could. And then you go all in on making content like you already have been, but just even more volume, just acquire users like crazy.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And now, and then on top of that, like, how do we force new users to be successful?
Mm-hmm.
And because our platform requires this, well, currently as it stands, it requires this element of being able to sell it, which is one of the top reasons people churn. I think introducing things like Master Chat with a $50 price tier gets people to sign up and use it with this like light white labeling almost, where I'm thinking that we could customize the dashboard and the name and the logos and the colors and things. So that way when a user gets to that Master Chat dashboard, they're seeing a version of what it could look like. It's just not custom domained yet.
Yeah.
So then that could
Yeah.
be an upsell moment to be like, okay, now create your, now sign up for the paid plan, because you'll be able to fully utilize it in the way that you're wanting and expecting to.
I know for me, if I'm just starting out, to spend $50 a month is a number I'm really used to spending. To spend $250, $200 or $300 a month, I'm going to think about it. And I think that's a deterrent why a lot of new business owners don't use something like GHL. So like, I could get it for free on Notion. It kind of does what I want it to do,
Uh-huh.
right? I think the same thing here. $50, I'll let the bill pass for like 3 months while I try to figure out what's going on. But for $300, it's the
Exactly.
first thing I'm going to cancel.
Exactly. And that's exactly how I use platforms. It's frustrating because that's exactly how I look at things. And it's just like, why haven't we done that? Why haven't we done that yet? And it's just
Yeah.
because the platform is legitimately so big, and there's so many features and so many things that we've built that we have to pick and choose our dev bandwidth on what we're focusing on. Even with our 5 devs now, like we have 5 full-time devs and we're still hitting our bandwidth. So I see the value of investors for, like, I could easily probably double my dev team and we would still have things to like wait to work on probably.
Yeah.
And there's just no way that you could do that without revenue. Like, even at the revenue that we're at, it would be a stretch. Not that I'm saying that I'm going to take money, but I think it's naive to be like, oh, bootstrapping's the best, blah, 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 because I've never really experienced that other side of it. And I see the value of it now, because I was like, oh yeah, if someone wants to give me $1 million for 5% or whatever, that could increase our runway and provide a significant amount of lift, because we would have more dev bandwidth to get new features, to then market, to then sell, like bing, bang, boom. Yeah. All that being said, I am very surprised that this is a success in and of itself where it's at right now, even though it's not where I want it to be. I would still classify it as a Stammer is a success in terms of like a software platform. And I can't wait to like take all of this knowledge and continue to rework it within the existing, but also looking ahead towards the next endeavor, or whatever that may be, and how much better from day one it will be run, knowing these things that I know now.
Oh yeah. Your revenue is no joke. The amount of signups that you get are bonkers. Like I think that anybody that's in this space and is looking for a solution knows what Stammer is and will probably try it out. It's probably just about time in the market now. But yeah, I can see the value in taking money for something like this, especially because the space moves so quick. And if you aren't taking money and you're going at a rate slower than your competitors, it's going to be a lot harder to keep up. So yeah, it's probably worth giving up equity in that situation. I'm just so debt adverse that like I wouldn't be the person to do that. But I also know you want Stammer to be, $100 million business, if not more. Um, and you probably can't do
Yeah.
that without a little bit of funding.
Yeah. I'm extremely debt adverse as well. Uh, from a business point of view, I guess I've always been willing to sacrifice my personal to keep the business going, which is, still to be determined if that's the right move or not. But I'm still here now. Like I haven't had to, quote unquote, go get a job or like do more service-based work, which I was doing like 2 years ago, or
Yeah,
agency work even.
yeah, yeah.
I know I'll never get a job ever, but I don't want to do service-based work again
Eh,
either.
eh.
To me, that would be a job.
Service-based work is like our equivalent of getting a job.
What was that? Say it again.
I said the service-based work is our equivalent of getting a job.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you have a boss, basically.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I mean, I've thought about that too. Even after selling the agency, we, made a bunch of money, but you feel broke because you have no income. So I'm like, oh, just dwindling down the savings. And, depending on your rate of spending, interest may or may not keep up. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I've thought about it. I think anybody that gets out of it and then starts a new venture realizes that the next thing is so much harder than running a service-based business
Right.
that you start to get the reverse shiny object syndrome. Like, so easy to make 10 grand for, but this now I need hundreds or thousands of users to be able to get that same level of money. So it's just a lot more work. Like
Yeah.
yeah,
Do you find that it's more mentally fulfilling working on tougher things?
100%. 100%. It's more mentally fulfilling working on scalable things. So even
Yes.
like when I was running a Shopify brand, I so quickly got to 85,000 a month in revenue. And I think did that in 4 months, maybe 5 months. I can't remember how much free time there was before like we actually got the product and everything.
Are we
Like
talking
four
about
months.
ours or a different one?
Yeah, no R.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So it was like 4, maybe 5 months that we got to 85 grand a month.
Yeah.
And it really was not a lot of work. Like it was not a lot of work at all. But part of it is because uh, we were running successful service-based companies and had a lot of capital to fund it. So to spend, I think our first PO was like $12,000. The second one was $35,000. And then the content creation we outsourced that. We got a creator to make some content for us. Like because we had money from the service-based thing, I didn't really feel the initial investment, but it just took off so quickly. But to make 85 grand a month in service is really hard. Like the even just the managing people alone, let alone the clients and the expectations and the deadlines and the work and like the mental load and the calls, like your team's capacity to do it, the margin's so much thinner. It's a lot harder to do it in service based, but it's so much easier in service to get to like 30 grand a month. But in terms of fulfillment, way more fulfilling to build something that is scalable because you can see the potential. Even though the ecom brand was not super profitable, my agency was still far more profitable than the ecom brand. So we made more money in the agency, even though the total revenue was lower. Um, Working on something that has a higher potential to scale just gets me more excited. I think it gets everybody more excited because you can see the vision of growth and you know that every new customer, every new customer doesn't mean that you have to do the work. And that's the downside to a service-based business. Every new customer, you have this feeling of like, fuck, now I have to do it.
And even after you do it, even successfully, people could come back and be like, oh, well, it's not successful enough, I'm canceling. Or, oh, it's working and I think I can do it myself, so I'm canceling. Like,
Yeah, so
it's like insane.
I know, I've had this a few times. I've had customers where I had such a good example. I have two really good examples. One customer, we hit a 4 return on ad spend on like an $80,000 budget. It was ridiculous. He made nearly $300,000, or sorry, over $300,000. And then he came back and he goes, our profit margin is 20%, which is a 4 return on ad spend. If you reverse engineer it, 20% means you need a 4x to hit, right? And we hit 4x, and so we made over $300,000. And he goes, well, this wasn't profitable. Like, well, then why in your onboarding did you say that your net margin was like 75%? He goes, well, that's net margin, not gross margin. I'm like, you fucking kidding me? So we knock it out of the park, this customer, hoping that it's going to be a long-term retention. And then same thing, ends up churning. Another really good example, we had, sorry, still with me? Sorry, I think we cut out of it.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, gotcha. Okay. Another micro example, customer, we were spending $1,000 a month. We hit a 10 return on ad spend because they were a huge company, so it wasn't hard. And we scaled the budget to $1,200, and they fired us because we went $200 over budget. I'm like, do you not understand how this works?
That's ridiculous.
Sorry, I thought I was maybe crying.
Yeah, that's absurd.
Anyway, people are funny, but yeah, way more fulfilling to run something that you know has potential to scale.
Yeah, definitely. Did you use any AI tools to build your application?
No, I didn't, but it's because I wasn't the one building it. If I were to build it, I would use AI for the entire thing. But because I just hired a developer, I actually don't even know what he used to build it. I just know that it works the way I want it to, and he's providing me the base code. So yeah, if I were to do it, 100%, I would use some AI tools, and I probably would code it in React Native, because I think there's a lot more AI tools for that than there is for Swift.
Yeah. So I've been using some this last week because I was like, I need to help speed up the dev team and provide better resources and mockups to them so that way they can go faster. So instead of me just being like, here's a screenshot, I can send them full live mockups and demos of stuff that uses the same libraries that we're using in the actual application. And so I started using Cursor. Have you heard of that one? Did I lose you?
Sorry, Ross, I'm losing you a bit. There we go. We might be back now. Back?
Super annoying.
You there?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Cool. Yeah, I think we're back. I think we're good.
Okay.
But I got the gist of it. Like, you're using AI tools to build what you want the functionality to look like, and then send it off to the dev team to show them so they can see what's in your head, basically.
Yeah. And I was doing that with like Claude and Claude artifacts, but now I'm using Cursor, which is using the exact code and like material UI libraries and elements that our existing application is already using in React. So I can send them the code that is the interface, that is this, like, in theory, they could copy paste it into production.
Hey, sorry, dude. I think the internet's unstable. Not sure if this is on my end or not.
It's me.
All good. All good.